everyone. Welcome in. Does anybody want to go first with introductions? I think we're almost done with setup here. Okay,
Yeah, I
we're
can
good.
go.
We're live
Oh,
on YouTube as well, so go for it, JJ.
awesome. Hello, everyone who's live on YouTube. I'm glad to be here this morning here in Minnesota, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're so glad for us to be here with you guys to start in this journey with you guys that we are so excited to guide you to come to United States this fall. PJ said, my name is Jared JJ Martina. When you come on campus, you can call me JJ. I'm the Assistant Director of International Recruitment and Enrollment here at Mankato, and I'm very glad to be here. And because I was in the same shoes as you guys, 11 years ago when I came to the US as an international student, had some anxiety to travel, to leave home. That's totally fine. So that's why we're here to guide you guys to go through all those steps in what you have to do. Specifically, now that you have your I-20, when you go to do your visa interview, what are the skills and how you should present yourself in order to do this well and get your visa. So very help. Thank you to be here, and thank you, PJ.
Violet, you want to go?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Violet. I'm the International Enrollment Coordinator here at the Kearney International Center. I see some familiar names here, so it's exciting to have you here. We're super excited to help you prepare and get everything ready so that you can come over in the fall. And yeah, we're looking forward to meeting you.
PJ, you muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew this would happen at least once every time. Um, okay, thank you so much, JJ and Violet. So JJ and Violet are also going to chime in during our webinar today. They have a wealth of knowledge that I think they should share. So I'm very glad they're here today. Hi, everybody. My name is PJ Gurung. I am the Assistant Director for Strategic Communications and Recruitment. You've probably received a few emails from me. But I'm very excited that you guys have joined us today, and I'm very excited to give you guys some tips and tricks. I've been in the US for about close to 10 years now, and so I also came here on a student visa. So I remember what my visa interview was like and how scary it was. So hopefully, we can give you some tips and tricks to hopefully calm you down during the day of your interview, because trust me, it goes by so fast, you don't even realize it. With that, the first thing that we're going to do with our webinar today is show you guys how to request your I-20, because I'm sure a lot of you guys have questions about that as well. So we will take you over the steps on how to request your I-20, and from there, we're going to move into the visa prep portion of it and how to pay for your CVIS and all of that good stuff. So while that's going on, I'm just curious to see where everyone is from. So if you guys want to leave us like where you're from in the chat, that would be awesome. And if you have any questions, if you could leave it in the Q&A tab at the bottom as well, because that just makes it easier for us to answer questions at the end of it. If you do ask questions, unless appropriate to answer at the time, we usually leave question time for Q&A at the end of the session, but just please leave your questions down below so that we can get to it as we see fit. So with that, I am going to share my screen, and then we'll go over how to request your I-20. Violet, since you've been like on the receiving end of all of the emails, what emails do we mostly get when it comes to I-20? Do you have like a
Um, Firstly, like how to even find it, where to go, how to upload your documents, what kind of documents you need, and yeah, just mostly that kind of stuff. So the process all starts in the international portal, and our international portal is something that you're going to use throughout your entire time here for anything related to anything, international, basically. And in order to get into your international portal, you first have to activate your MavMail account, which is how we invite you into the portal. So that's a really crucial step.
Awesome. Thank you, Violet. Okay, and then yeah, if you see anything, just feel free to chime in. I'm gonna go over to our Teradata. You should have received email communication on what we call the KIC portal. So it's going to look very similar to this. In order to get to Teradata, the first thing you need to do is activate your MavMail, which again, if you've gone to your acceptance letter, there is a video linked on the microsite that takes you to a step-by-step video on YouTube on how to get into your MavMail. So once you've activated your MavMail, you're in, you will receive an invitation to the screen that I'm showing you at the time. You will be logging in with your credentials, your e-services, login, star ID. Once you get in, this is what it's going to look like. This is our dummy profile for Stomper. And if you guys don't know who Stomper is, that's our mascot. You'll understand more once you get on campus. You'll see Stomper walking around a lot, and he's like a celebrity. Um, I take photos with Stomper every time I see Stomper. Um, but yeah, so this is what your portal is going to look like for you. And again, at any point you have any questions, please let us know. Your KIC portal is your one-stop shop for literally all of your requests once you're a student at MSU. So we're talking about I-20 right now. And then once you're a student here, you'll also be accessing this for your work permits, your OPT, all of that good stuff. But you don't need to know that now. What you need to know now is how to get to your I-20. So once you log in, this is the welcome screen that you get. You'll see a lot of our student faces. If you scroll down further, it'll tell you exactly what it is. So this is the I-20 request link. You have to read through to the bottom for instructions on how to complete it. So just make sure you're reading all of it. The other important thing to remember when you are in the portal is this date right here. I'm assuming a lot of you guys here are for fall 2025. You need to request your I-20 by June 1st. That's a hard deadline. And so if you don't request it by then, you'll have to defer your application. We don't want that. So just make sure you look at the dates. If you are, and then what you're going to do is go to number 2. It's all easily numbered for you as well. Right here is what your I-20 would look like when you finally get a digital copy from us. The I-20 is a very important piece of document because A, you take this to your interview, your visa interview. B, you bring this with you, a printed copy with you when you come into the US and when you go through border customs and patrol. You have to show them your I-20 because this basically indicates that you are going to be a student at our university. Please make sure you don't have your I-20 on your phone or anything like that. I've gotten a few questions from students who are like, can I just have it on my phone when I go through customs? And I'm like, no, just make sure it's printed. So this is what it looks like, and this is what you're sending in a request for. When you get down to this here, this won't let me drop down, but when you drop down, it's going to give you an option of if you're in the States already and you have an F1 visa, or if you're out of the country and you need a visa. Most of you guys watching right now are likely out of country, and so you will be selecting I'm out of the country and I need a visa as your choice. This is also where you upload a passport ID page. Make sure it's legible, make sure it's clear, make sure your name and everything, all of your important information is clearly labeled and we can see it. If we don't, it makes it harder for us to process your I-20. And so just make sure you have a scanned color copy of your passport ID page. Once you upload that here, you'll get a little button here that says next. I can't see it for some reason with Stomper this time around. I'm not sure why, but you'll basically get a little button here that asks you to go to the next page. If you do not have anything uploaded and you hit next, it's going to give you a pop-up that says, hey, you're missing something, you didn't submit it, go back and do it. So that's one thing I really like about Teradata or like our KIC portal is it's very intuitive and it will tell you when you're missing information. A few other questions and documents to submit here. If you see anything. So this is where all of your personal information that we have is going to be populated. So as you can see, like we have Maverick Stomper. If any of your information, so your name spelled incorrectly, if your date of birth is incorrect, or if your country of birth is incorrect, you need to go in here and type that out and let us know right here, like, hey, my name, blah, 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 blah. So that way we know what we need to change before we officially issue your I-20. If we've already issued your I-20 and then you're like, hey, something's wrong here, we will not be able to go back and change that information for you. So this is a very good time to just make sure everything looks correct. One more thing to note, if you are in any of these pre-professional tracks, so if you put that you want to do pre-med or pre-physical therapy, what's going to show up on your I-20 is any of these listed here. We do not put any pre-professional because those are supplemental academic paths and are not considered a major. So if you have anything that's like pre-professional, just know that that is not what's going to be listed on your I-20, and that's something you need to keep in mind. If you are like more curious about that, you can always obviously go here. It's hyperlinked and it'll take you to, if it's not found, great, but it'll take you to all of the CIP codes and why those are not listed. I'm gonna quickly change to student preview here. All right, so again, make sure your email's correct. Make sure your address looks correct. And if you have any dependents at all, this is where you need to put their information. Again, just make sure everything looks correct. Financial ability to attend. So this is where you would upload your bank documents and a financial sponsor letter. Just uploading the bank documents is not enough. A lot of times, sometimes students will upload their bank documents and not their financial sponsor letter, and then we cannot process their I-20. We have the financial sponsor letter template here. We just download it and have your sponsor fill it out for you. But you have to make sure that that's a document that's submitted. Bank statements must be dated and be less than 6 months old. So if it's like longer than 6 months, you need to get a new one. They must be in English. So if it's in an original language of your home country, you need to make sure that it's translated and make sure that the bank letterhead is printed and that it's an official document. We do make sure to check and go through our own process of vetting for fraudulent documents. So you want to make sure that you're submitting an accurate documentation for us to be able to issue your I-20 for you. Another quick thing to note is credit cards, life insurance, and any of these pension funds are not accepted as proof of funding, so please do not submit those. We have made it as easy as possible for you to know exactly what to submit and what documents are necessary throughout the portal. So a lot of times questions that you have and then you email us about is already on the portal. So you want to make sure that you're going through the portal and reading everything from top to bottom so that you don't miss out on any important information. But this is where you would be uploading your bank statements and then, of course, your financial sponsor letter. Once you submit both, it's going to give you a little, again, button here that says next. Once you hit next here, it's going to bring you to this. So this is where you review everything, all of your steps. Did you submit your bank statements? Did you submit your financial sponsor letter? Is your passport copy legible and clear for us to understand? Just make sure you have everything on file. If the documentations that you submit do not meet criteria, our KIC staff will email you and tell you, hey, this doesn't look right. Can you upload a different one just to complete the I-20 processing? So if you haven't heard back from us in a while, just look at your email and make sure that you haven't received any clarification emails from us. Because a lot of times students that have been waiting for a bit are not getting their I-20 is because we've sent you a clarification email and you haven't looked at it. So a big thing with coming to the US and being a student here is checking your emails is very important. All of your important information goes to your email. And when you don't check it, you might miss out on like important things. But once your I-20 request is submitted, you will receive an email in your MAV mail that your I-20 is ready and you will be downloading it from here as well. So you'll log back into the portal and then it'll tell you that you can download it. Once you have your I-20, what do you need to know? It's all of these steps here that we will be going through today, not the traveling and housing um, stuff, but we will talk about the I-901 fee, the DS-160, and all of the other fun stuff. Um, Thank you, JJ and Violet, for sending that in the chat. Okay, I am going to, again, if you guys have any questions,
And
yeah,
PJ,
yeah,
I
I just
think
saw that.
awesome. Yeah.
If you
I
have
just
any
want to make sure.
questions, yeah,
Did you mention about the date that the bank statement should be? 6 months. I'm not sure if I
yep,
missed that or mentioned.
yep.
Okay, just want to make
It needs
sure
to be
that the
no like as no less than 6 months old. So anything
okay.
older than that, they need to get a new one. For those of you that said that the chat isn't working, if you want to leave your questions in the Q&A instead, that makes it a lot easier for us to get to. So any questions you have, or if you have any comments, just leave it in the Q&A. Someone said, "Hello, I'm from the Gambia, the smiling coast of Africa. I will be going for my interview next week, and I guess it's worth joining this webinar, so I'm excited to be here." So sweet.
Mm,
Um, Thank you for being here, and hopefully this will be a lot helpful for you. I'm gonna quickly change my screen to our presentation for the day, but the weather in Minnesota is actually getting very nice, so you guys are coming at a pretty good time. You'll have a lot of you'll be able to do a lot of more outdoorsy stuff. So this fall is a good time to come to Minnesota, I think. We're very excited. Obviously, we'll have our orientation overview webinar in August, so we'll talk more about what orientation would look like, but we're very excited to welcome you. We have a lot planned for orientation week, so it'll be good. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing now and then switch over. Gigi, what's your favorite part of Minnesota?
Well, I think my favorite part is this the season. I get to, being from the Caribbean, I just get to enjoy summer. But now in here in Minnesota, I get to enjoy, 4 seasons of the year, which, is fall, winter, summer, and spring. Now we are basically going and we are in spring going into the summer, which is a beautiful time. And then you get to do a variety of things and try a lot of variety of new things in the winter, in the fall, you can enjoy the colors. In the summer, you can enjoy the lakes, go on boat, and really get engaged in the American culture. So that's really what I like about Minnesota. Minnesota is known for the state for 1,000 lakes. So you can, visit, you can go biking, you can go boating in so many lakes, which is really nice in Minnesota. So you get to do a variety of, new outdoors things and also indoor basically. So yeah.
Thank you. Also, I did enable the chat options, so if you want to just type your questions or like comments in the chat, that's totally fine now. I didn't realize it was disabled, so I went ahead and enabled it. So if you're watching and you want to like just chat with us, you can totally just send text messages on the chat box. Violet, you're from here. What's your favorite part of Mankato?
Well, as somebody that's from here, I guess I've just never had a real good reason to leave. I love to travel, but I also love this as a hometown. I think it's kind of just the right size where it's not, super chaotic and loud and busy, and there's not a bunch of traffic, so that's wonderful. But it's big enough where there's tons of events that happen. Um, it's in a river valley, so it's really beautiful, and the people here are really nice. I mean, yeah, I think you'll really like Mankato. I think again, it's kind of the perfect like in between size as far as like it's not too small and it's not too big. And then like JJ was saying, like having the 4 seasons here is really beautiful. Like every few months you get a totally new experience. So that's really cool.
Thank you for sharing. I agree with both of you. I think Mankato is like small enough to where it feels like a very like tight-knit community, but it's also big enough to where you can actually go out and explore. And there's a lot of food options as well, despite it being a smaller town. And if you wanted to go to the city, it's not that far. So. I think it's the perfect like medium. Anyway, again, the chat option is open now, so please chat with us. I love getting to know you guys, and it'd be nice to like chat with you guys. Okay, cool. So today we're going to talk about your visa appointments and what to prepare for it. Do you guys want to let me know if the screen looks okay, like everything's good?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. This is actually our student union, the picture that you see right now. So you will be spending a lot of time in this one building because this is where we have our cafeteria. This is where we host a lot of our events. But this is, again, a really small part of our mid-sized university. So this is also where the bus stop is, one of our bus stops. So, okay, cool. Agenda for today, we're going to talk about how to pay your CVIS I-901 fee, scheduling your visa appointment, and preparing for your visa appointment. So we're going to quickly get started. Once you have your I-20, you're going to pay your CVIS I-901 fee, which looks very much like this. The link is also in the on the screen itself, but this is a $350 payment that you're paying the US government essentially, which is saying that you would like to attend our university. So it lets them know that you are interested in our university and it gets into their system. So if you see here, it says CVIS ID, you will find your CVIS ID on your I-20. So just make sure when you have your I-20, you'll look for this number right here that starts with an N and has a bunch of other numbers behind it. This is why your I-20 is important because if you don't have your I-20, you cannot go for your visa interview. So request your I-20 as soon as you can. This is valid for 12 months. So God forbid, if you go for your interview and you don't pass or you don't get your visa, I have a feeling that all of you guys are going to get your visa. And like, I have very good faith. But if you don't, you have this $350 payment valid for a year. So if you wanted to defer your application, you wouldn't have to repay it, if it makes sense. Once you pay this fee, you'll get a receipt that you can save onto your laptop. Make sure you save it. You will need it. You will need to take it to your visa interview. So don't just close out of the window. Save your receipt, print it out, and keep it with you. Once you submit your CVIS I-901 fee, you're going to schedule your visa appointment. This is what the DS-160 form looks like, which is basically a non-immigrant visa. Another thing I want to highlight here is the non-immigrant aspect of it. This is important because when you go to your interview, this is key, non-immigrant. You are not coming here to stay here. You're coming here for a purpose and with an intent for something, which is to study. So when you go to your visa appointment, this is very important to highlight that you are a student. You're coming to the US to study, and that's the purpose of your visit. You don't plan to immigrate here. So when you're structuring your answers at your visa appointments, you need to indirectly or directly point to the fact that you will be returning to your home country because you're applying for a non-immigrant visa application. So just keep this in mind as you're like preparing for your visa interview. So what you're going to do is search for a US embassy or consulate near you. I think visa times right now are a little like iffy, so just make sure you check with your closer whatever US embassy or consulate you have near you about their visa wait times. You're going to complete the DS-160 online, and this is what the application looks like. It's a $185 visa fee. So we will talk a little bit more about how to complete the DS-160 and some other tips and tricks that we have for you. Okay, so tips for filling out the DS-160. The DS-160 is a pretty lengthy form. That's something I have to tell you. I remember when I filled it out, it took me an hour and a half, which is why we have like a 90-minute on here. So if you are going to fill out the DS-160, make sure you are in a spot with good Wi-Fi, you have good network, it's not too noisy and loud, so you can actually concentrate on filling out the DS-160 because you do not want any typos or any mistakes when you fill out the DS-160 because that could be an issue when you go to your interview. So set aside time, make sure you're at a location where you're by yourself And before you even fill out your DS-160, you need to take a photo. This is very similar to a passport photo that you would take, but I would go onto the US Embassy website and look for the exact photo requirements that they have, but they're very close to being a passport photo, essentially. But you want to have that with you before you start your application. So have that uploaded onto your laptop or your computer, wherever you're doing it, and have it with you on hand. A question that we get a lot is the US point of contact information. That is one of the questions within the DS-160 form. We get a lot of emails about students being like, hey, I don't know what to put down here. So this is exactly what you need to put down. So once you start filling out your DS-160 and you get to exactly this question, take a picture of this if you want with your phone right now, take a screenshot. But for contact person, you're always going to choose you do not know. We do this because let's say you put me down as like a contact person in the US, but I'm not in the office for that week when you're coming and there's issues. I'm not in the office, so no one's going to be able to speak with me. So we always ask students to put do not know so that if somebody does contact us, there's a lot of us in the office that can actually like talk to whoever is calling us. Organization name, Minnesota State University Mankato, obviously. Relationship to you, school official, and then our address is on there as well as our email and phone number. This phone number is our standard front desk number, so which is good so that if someone does call, they can route it to whoever's in the office. So take a picture of this. I'm gonna move on really quickly now. Okay, what to take to your visa interview or what to bring to your interview. This is a list of all of the things that you do want to take. So if you want to take a picture of the screen as well, however, we are live streaming on YouTube, so you can always just go back to the video on YouTube and watch it instead. So preparing for your visa interview and what to take, your I-20, which you know how to request now. So just make sure it's printed and signed. Don't leave that blank. As soon as you print it off, sign it and date it right away. Your passport, your CVIS I-901 receipt, which is this one right here, which I asked you to save. So just make sure you print that off and take it with you. Your visa application payment fee, which is this one right here. So as soon as you submit your DS-160, it's going to take you to where you can request it, like find the date that's available. So you're going to take that with you. Your visa for photo, so your photo that you uploaded on your DS-160 if you were not able to upload it to your DS-160. Sometimes the system can be a little iffy where it will not let you upload your photo for some reason. So if that happens, you'll take that photo with you to your visa appointment. Your admissions letter from MSU, which I know that all of you know how to get to because you're here. So you want to print that off as well and take it with you. Your bank statements from your sponsor, so that's exactly what you submitted to your KIC portal, so you already have it. Your academic transcripts from previous study, so your high school transcripts or any of that good stuff. Proof of English proficiency, so if you took TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, whatever you took, you want to print out a copy of that and take it with you. Documentation of ties to your home country. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky because it really depends. It's really vague, like documentation of ties, because it could be anything. For some of you guys, it could be that you have siblings that you take care of. For some of you, it could be um, your children are back home. For some of you, it could be my family, your family business that you're taking over. Could be a lot of things. If you have a job offer in your home country, that's a tie. So if you have any of those, take it with you. But a lot of times I always recommend kind of weaving it into your answers when the interviewer or the consular agent asks you questions. One thing that I always recommend students to do though is a folder. Have everything in your folder. Um, when I went for my interview personally, there were so many people that I saw that just didn't have it in a folder. They just had it like this, and it was a mess because they were like looking for stuff, and you don't want to waste the consular's time. So I highly encourage all students to just have everything all neatly packed in your folder so that when you go to your appointment, if the visa office is like, hey, I need your transfer, we can just be like, oh, I know where it is. It's right here. Efficient. It looks like you're prepared and it makes a good impression. So just make sure everything's in a folder.
And I think, PJ, one thing I want to mention about the passport, I think it needs to be at least 6 months valid to before you go to do the visa interview. So make sure of your passport that it's not gonna
Okay.
expire, and you have to travel. So that's gonna be a no-go for the visa consular because you are bound to get a visa and your passport bound to expire, and that's not the case. So at least 6 months valid, that will really help with the visa approval too. So yeah.
Yep, exactly. Thank you for bringing that up. I am just responding to the chats. Hi, Januki, welcome in. Morris, Johanna, Hosea. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry if I am. Nana, Karamo. Um, that's Blake, huh? But yeah, thank you so much for joining. Okay, we're gonna continue. Thank you, JJ, for bringing that up. That's very important. We're gonna move on to the next screen. If you are looking for tips and tricks outside of this visa session itself, these are some really, really good resources that we have compiled for you to look at. So if you go to Argo Visa, again, all of the links are here. If you go to their website, they have a bunch of mock interviews and questions, and they have a bunch of playlists that you can go through. They're short, they're to the sweet, they're to the point, and it's really helpful in constructing how to make your answers concise and not long. Because a lot of times with students, when we've done visa prep on our end, is students tend to give their entire family history when we ask them one question. That's not relevant. That's not necessary. So we'll talk a little bit more about it, but these are all very good. NAFSA's top 10 visa points to remember. I highly encourage going to this link here because they have exactly 10 tips that are similar to what the tips that we're giving you, but there are also like other tips that you might be useful for you. If you are looking to schedule a visa prep session, we do provide free visa prep sessions, but that's going to be with a current student. So feel free to sign up for it. And then you can, our current students are again international students that went through the visa process. So they know exactly what questions they received. So they'll be able to guide you through. They'll do mock interviews with you, and then they'll also help you like construct your answers a little bit better. All right. Before we get to this, the biggest thing, again, like I mentioned earlier, was the non-immigrant piece, the non-immigrant element. So anytime you go to your visa interview, you need to bring ties to your home country back to your answer whenever you can. So that looks like a reason to return to your home country after you complete your program. So is it family and friends, career opportunities? Are you continuing your education? How do you demonstrate this? Visa officers will never ask you about ties directly. So that's why it's important that everything you answer points to your intent to return. So you need to give concrete examples. So it could be, hey, I have a job offer lined up already, but they want me to get this degree. And so once I get that degree, I'm going to come back. Do you have a job offer letter for that though? So if you do have a job offer, actually, you have to be really honest with the consulates is be truthful, be honest, and to the point. That's literally my advice for any student that asks is just be concise to the point and give concrete examples. Another example could be your family. You need to take care of your parents once you're graduating. That's a tie to your home country that you have, but you need to do it in a way where it points to that when you answer it. The reason why I'm bringing this up now, or why we're even talking about it, is you need to identify your ties before the interview. This is not something you come up on the spot, because again, the visa interviews are only 2 to 3 minutes max. So you do not have a lot of time to convince the consular, like, hey, I'm actually like coming back, like blah, 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 blah. Identify your ties before the interview. So after today, after our session today, take some time to yourself. Take 5 to 10 minutes to just sit down and like put together in a bullet point on like write it down. Like, why do I want to come back? What's the biggest reason? Because again, this is a non-immigrant visa. You're just here to study, and that's it. So these are some visa questions. So I was in a um, session with a person in with a consular with a person who used to be a visa interviewer in the US Embassy, and these are some of the questions that they said they ask students. And I decided to just throw it all together so that you guys have it. But these are questions that you want to prepare your answers to. So, why do you want to study in the US and at this university? You applied to our university, so there has to be a reason why you chose this university. So, why do you want to study in the US? Well, at this university. What are your academic goals in the US? Talk about your major. Why did you choose your major? What about the major that we have here drew you to our school? Did you apply to any other schools? Who is paying for your education? What are your plans after you finish? And then ties to your home country. So a question could be, what's your motivation to return after completing your education? But again, like I said before, um, they will usually not directly ask you for your ties to your home country. So these are just some questions to continue practicing. When I was prepping for my visa interview, what I did is I would just record myself answering questions on my phone. So I would just have the voice recorder. I would answer a question and time myself. And a lot of times I would make sure that my questions, like my answers, are at least 30 seconds or less. So that's a really hard timeline to answer all of your questions, but I think it's important because it forces you to be very concise and to the point and not oversharing, because you don't want to overshare either. And
Yeah.
that's something I always tell students, do not overshare. You do not need to provide your entire family tree, blah, 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 blah. Just answer what's asked. Why do you want to study in the US? Why? Like it's a very pretty straightforward answer, right? So just make sure like I personally did this. You can ask your friends to do a mock interview with you. That's also helpful, but just answering your questions, practicing answering your questions to where it doesn't sound rehearsed either, because you also don't want it to sound like you're just memorizing answers. Because trust me, we can tell when you've memorized an answer. Like it comes off different. But did you have something to
Yeah.
add, JJ?
Yeah, for sure. I would say definitely also research the surrounding of Mankato. The specific city that you're going in. What Mankato is known for, what Minnesota specifically is known for. Research our website specifically on where things are located. Our mission and of the university, and then just basically in the U.S. itself. What's going on in the U.S. So just research the country as much as possible as you can, because these are very basic questions, but they might throw a question that might throw you off a little bit. But definitely know really about your surrounding of the university and Mankato itself. It's going to be very important because they know that you have done your research and you know why this university, you know who you've been talking to at the university. So these are very important, aspect that you have to research, the Mankato itself and the university, what is the mission and, how, KIC helping students. So these are very important, to know. They might not ask you all these questions, but just for your self-knowledge, if this come up that you know actually what your surroundings look like. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, JJ. And again, at the end of the day, it's about being honest. So if you have friends that go here, it's okay to say you have friends that go here and they recommended this university to you. That's totally fine to say as well. But at the end of the day, be honest about your intentions. Because clearly you
Mhm.
applied to our university, so it means there's something you saw about our university that made you want to apply. So just keep making notes of those things.
Yeah, and then just another tip based on what PG said on your major, really you have to say that it's ties to your home country. For example, you want to study computer science because you want to go back and help your industry in the economy. So something that always ties back to your home country, you cannot say that you are staying here to work, I'm looking, no, it's just that, I'm getting this degree and then I'm going back to contribute back to my country. So that's going to be very important and vital to say when you're talking to the visa officer.
Exactly. And so, yeah, just take these advice into consideration as you're preparing for the day of your interview. It looks like some of you said I know one of you said you have your interview next week. So just try to implement some of these strategies for yourself. The day of your interview, okay, After all of this trouble of you constructing your answers and practicing, comes the day of your visa interview. Very scary, I know. I was so nervous. I could not sleep the day before my interview, which is not good. You want to be rested. I was just so nervous. So I understand if you guys feel the same way. But the day of your interview is also a very important day. So here's a few things you need to know. Once you get into the embassy, before you even get to where your visa interviews are happening, you go through a security checkpoint. This is where you leave all of your stuff. So if you're carrying a backpack, you're not allowed to take those inside. The only things you're allowed to take with you are these documents that we brought up earlier. That's why it's important to have all of them in one spot, because then you can just grab it and go inside. Technology like phones, laptops are not allowed. However, a big thing I want to let you guys know this time around, if you're going for your interview, leave your phone outside of the embassy with your family member or friends. Don't take it in with you. Just leave them with your family members. You're not going to be able to take it to your visa interview anyway, so leave it outside the embassy. So not don't take it through a security checkpoint. Just leave it outside the embassy with your friends or family member or whoever is taking you to your appointment. So this is another thing I want to highlight. Don't take your phones and laptops inside with you. Your interview is going to be in English, so make sure you're practicing your answers and that you're comfortable speaking your answers. But again, technology like phone and laptop, leave outside the embassy. Outside. The visa interview will be at a stand-up visa window, so very much exactly like this photo. Very terrible lighting in there as well, if I recall. It looks very accurate to the interview place, so which is why I found this photo and I was like, oh, this is perfect. But this is what the interview is going to look like. It's going to be at a stand-up visa window. Have your documents organized and give them to the consular officer when they ask. So you'll just slide it under the window. Dress for success. I know we are in 2025 and we want to fully express ourselves in however way we want when it comes to fashion and makeup. But the day of your visa interview, I highly encourage you to dress conservatively. Don't wear anything like like shredded jeans or any of that stuff, like cropped tank tops. That's not the day. This is not for the day of your visa interview. I always encourage students to dress a little conservative. Just wear a basic, like plain, clean t-shirt and jeans. Make sure your hair's combed. Make sure you brush your teeth. Like, just the whole like 9 yards, but just dress conservative. I've had a lot of students ask, like, hey, can I wear this, this, and this? And I'm like, just dress like you're going to see your grandma. You know, very simple, clean. And another thing is you need to eat a good meal beforehand. Sometimes you could be at the embassy for 3, 4 hours waiting, and you can't get food inside. There's no place to grab food. So if you have even if you have an early appointment, just make sure you eat beforehand so you're not hungry. Because when you're hungry, it affects how you perform, and you don't want that to affect your visa interview. You will not be able to take water inside either, from what I recall, but there will be water fountains inside usually, so you can still grab water, but you will not have like anywhere to get food while you're waiting for your appointment. And you could be waiting for a long time depending on how busy it is. So just make sure you eat a good meal beforehand.
I think another thing, PJ, please be early. You know,
Mhm,
that's very, very important. At least I would say 15, 20 minutes before your appointment, because
mhm.
they give you a specific time, but you have to be there like early, at least 15, 20 minutes. And so, because you never know what can happen, they might call that person earlier. So please be there at least 15, 20 minutes earlier, because sometimes they might do some check-in, the security might do some check-in earlier than that. So if you're there earlier, it's better for you basically. So yeah, so make sure
Exactly.
everything depends. Yeah, depends on the time you have your visa interview. Make sure, like BJ said, you eat, wake up early, you eat, get all the nutrients that you need to have, build that confidence, and then be there early, so you're less nervous. Because if you're rushing, you are mm, you're gonna feel more like exhausting, and standing in front of the window, you're gonna feel more nervous. So take a breather, just take it easy, and it will all be fine.
I'm so glad you brought up the time element because this is something Alyssa always says. Like, if you're early, you're on time, and if you're on time, you're already late. Alyssa likes to say this a lot, so I'm quoting her really quickly.
Yeah.
Alyssa's our director. Um, so yeah, like JJ said, just make sure you're early. Because again, sometimes the security takes a while too, because it's just so many students coming in or like people coming in for their interviews, so you could be in line for a bit. All right. And finally, relax. Take a deep breath. Visa interviews are typically only 2 to 3 minutes in length. So literally you'll blink and it'll be done. I'm not even joking. That's what it was like for me. I don't know how it was for you, JJ, but I went in, I stayed in line, I went to the window, and I think like the counselor asked me 3 questions, but I don't even remember. I blinked and it was done. So just know that it seems really scary and daunting, but typically they're only 2 to 3 minutes long. And as long as you have practiced answering your questions, you know exactly what your points are, it'll go by really, really quickly. Remember to be calm, speak calm, and be concise and be respectful to the officer that's interviewing you.
Yeah.
And after this, obviously, all of you guys watching are going to get your visa. So, like, not even worried. So then after that, you're going to come to our orientation. Yay. Attendance is mandatory. So, fall 2025 orientation dates, Monday, August 18th through Friday, August 22nd. That's the entire week that we have orientation. You want to arrive on or before August 17th, 2025. And the first day you can enter the US with your visa is July 19th, 2025. If you get your visa for fall 2025, you will not be able to enter the US before July 19th. So once you get your visa and you're buying your tickets, make sure you're not getting it too early because you will not be able to come to the US otherwise. Just July 19th is the first day you can enter the US. These are some of our peer mentors who will be at the orientation. We have student peer mentors waiting for you, and they will be taking you through orientation throughout the week and helping you get acclimated to, our campus and all of that fun stuff. And we're so excited to meet you. We'll talk more about orientation and what to expect orientation closer to August when we do an orientation overview. So you'll get more info then. A few of our upcoming webinars. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already registered for it, but if you haven't, more information is on your KIC portal, so please don't forget to register. May 6th is our next webinar, which is Understanding Tuition and Fees, May 20th. So all of this, it needs to say requesting I-20. Sorry, I didn't realize the typo over there. I'll fix that later. But these are some of our upcoming webinars. The full list of webinars that you can register for is on the KIC portal, which we already looked at earlier. We will
Yeah.
also be doing some Instagram lives at KIC at MNSU. And the lives are more so informal. We just try to answer all of your questions and we just hang out, which is nice. We're calling it Coffee with KIC. So we'll just like hang out, chat, and you can also follow us because we provide a lot of our pre-arrival information on our Instagram as well. So more information is on your 2025 pre-arrival calendar. You should have received an email from us with this downloadable calendar. So check your emails if you haven't already. It will have the entire, all of our events that are coming up. JJ, did you have something to add?
Yes, I think I got ask a good question about housing, because people are saying if they need to apply for housing now. I would say most likely if after you get your visa, you apply for housing because when you get your visa that you're coming, that it gets approved, you can apply for housing because there is a deposit that you have to pay. And you don't want to pay the deposit and you go to your visa and then something goes wrong, you get denied, and you have the deposit. So definitely I will wait before your visa get approved, and then I'll start applying for housing or looking for an apartment here in Mankato, because you can start looking around, you can start asking questions, specifically which dorm you want to live in, which apartment. If you have a friend here that you're going to live with, you definitely have that conversation. But for payment and specifically for housing or an apartment, I will wait on that until your visa get approved. So just want to make sure of that.
It looks like a lot of you guys were asking about a mock interview with students. Again, like I shared the link earlier. I would go into like link.mnsu.edu visa prep 2 and you will be able to register for a time slot with one of our students, international students, current international students, to do a mock interview. Um, I would recommend that you do get up to 3 sessions that you can sign up for. Just make sure that you show up for the time slots that you sign up for, because when you sign up and you don't show up, you're taking up a spot that another student can have. So if you're going to sign up for a visa prep session, make sure you show up and make sure you show up on time. Otherwise, it wastes our students' time and it takes away that slot. Um, Another thing that I saw a lot of students ask is about the admissions letter. I think Januki, you asked about admissions letter and if you need to bring it to the university, yes. Make sure you have a copy of your visa interview admissions letter that you take to the visa interview. It looks like JJ already answered all the questions that we did have. As long as the school officer in Minnesota, I don't think I understand that question.
I believe PJ, the student was asking in the where they need to fill out the address in the US or the person in the US, they fill out
Mm,
one of the our DSOs in
mhm.
Minnesota. That's what basically they were asking about, if that's okay. And you can ch
Mm,
chime on that a little bit.
okay. I think that's all the questions that we have. If you guys
Oh,
have any other
uh,
questions, yes, JJ.
I think student asked if you can repeat again about the mock session, PJ, for to sign up for the mock session in the chat. Oskino is asking about that.
Who is? Okay, hold on. Um, so if you want to sign up for the mock session, it's going to be linked. Hold on. So that's the link. So link.mnsu.edu/visa prep 2. That's where you'd go and sign up for it. I think that's all of the questions. Yeah, I think so. Any last minute um, advice, tricks? We will have another visa prep session. So if you guys wanted to, you guys could always join us for the next one, which is on May 20th. That's going to be our next visa prep session. So you guys can join us for that again, and we can go through the whole process one more time. Otherwise, I think that is all that we had today. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope this was productive and helpful for you guys. And again, just relax, breathe. It's going to be okay. You're going to do great. We believe in you. We're so excited to see you here in the fall. Um, we have a lot in store for you. So, okay, I'm going to end the session a little bit early today, 5 minutes early. All right, see you guys. Bye. Oh,
Bye.
actually, hold on. We didn't check YouTube. Okay, I think we're good. We're good. All right. Bye,
All right.
guys.
Bye.